I gotta ask a question of the man, and I'm just, I'm not upset with. I love the man to death. I mean, you guys have a much deeper appreciation for him.
I think we're live
because you got,
I think we're
All right,
live.
hey, good evening, everybody. Chris Craig here, along with my cohort, Steve Rodriguez. Tonight we have Tom Froelich with us, class of '88. Going to set some ground rules tonight, guys. First off, we're not affiliated with Bayshore in any official capacity. So the views and opinions on this show are completely ours and our guests. And then also I want to let you know as well that we don't declare that everything you're going to hear today is true. There could be some truth, some tall tales, some half lies, and some outright lies, probably. So you have to keep that in mind when you watch our podcast, guys. So yeah, this is, we're kind of like CNN. But anyway, I digress.
Before we get started with Tom, and Tom, thank you for being with us. I want to ask Chris if he can give us an update on the boys basketball team from last night. The 2020-2021 season started with a bang. We humiliated Armwood High School, public high school, and then we had our home opener last night. Chris, what happened?
So last night, the boys opened up with the regular season with a 66-57 win over St. Stephen's. I watched the entire game. There was a lot of good, a lot of first game jitters, so some things have to be cleaned up. But yeah, overall, I thought it was a great game by the guys. Smooth CJ Cruz led the way. Great leadership and command on the court. And then, of course, high flying Rollock Christian. I mean, come on, give me a break, dude. He had 2 monster dunks. And overall, team looked good. Looking forward to a great season this year, Steve and Tom. So yeah, happy report, man. Everything looks good so far.
Yeah, what little I saw, it looked like the opponent, comes to play too, and they had a good game plan. They reversed the ball and and really made it difficult defensively for us. But at the end of the day, like you said, man, the Rollock Cruz. What's the other dude's name? It's really good. Deion Brown. I mean, they just rolled. So it was good to see they finished it off at the end. And I'll let you go ahead and introduce our guest again and get him rolling.
All right, so real quick, guys. I do want to mention that it's freezing. It's cold as heck in my house. 14 degrees outside.
That's right.
50 degrees.
Wait. Tom, I'm interrupting again because you're in cold weather as well. Chris is in cold weather and his freaking heater broke. He's calling me saying he may not be able to do the show. Is it working now?
Anyway.
well, now what is your heat source? I mean, do you have gas or?
Yeah, it's gas furnace. Yeah. So
obviously you have electricity, so you could have went smart and bought some, portable heaters. I'm brother, man, I love you, but.
Well, this happened just a little while ago, so I really haven't had a chance to really address it properly. I thought this was a much more important thing to take care of, Tom, than the comfort of my family and my home. So yeah, we hold you in high regard, Tom. But anyway, upset about that. We have with us tonight Uber fan, one of the great guys that I had the privilege to know in high school. One of the few lower classmen I actually looked up to and respected, only because he was bigger than me. Anyway, we got Tom Froelich. Hey, Tom, how you doing tonight, man?
Doing great, man. How about yourself?
Doing good. Where you at these days?
I'm living in Canton, Pennsylvania. It's a one red light town, knee deep in the middle of nowhere. You've never heard of it. The closest town that you would know would be Williamsport, Pennsylvania, which is where the Little League World Series is played. I'm 25 miles north of it.
Awesome. Well, listen, Tom, I'm going to turn you over to Steve for a little bit. He's going to ask you some questions, get this thing rolling. Feel free to, interject anything you want to at any time.
Okay, I will gladly.
Steve, go ahead with your first question, man.
Well, Tom, thanks for being here. Class of 1988, correct?
Correct.
That's right. That's my sister's class.
Correct.
So I know all you guys played ball with several of your classmates as well when they were sophomores and I was a senior. And we're going to want to hear every story that came from your time at Bayshore. But before we do that, the reason we're doing this show, it's Bayshore Christian fans, and you were one of our great fans in the stands cheering for your classmates as well as against our opponents. lot of stuff that came out of the stands. And again, we're getting to all of it. So some of you out there that are nervous about what may happen, you should be, because it's about.
Steve, I'm going to tell you, and I'm not going to deny it. We were bullies. We were straight up bullies. And I can remember how it all started. And it was the very first game. And
what year is this? What year is it?
1985, because I started 1985, 1986, your senior year.
Right.
So we're sitting there and God, I can't believe I'm telling the story. So I had my driver's license. I actually I was supposed to graduate with you, Chris, but Bayshore decided that because of one school I went to, they wanted me to repeat 10th grade. I don't care. All right, whatever, big deal. So I have my driver's license. My parents denied me the right to drive to the first game because I got caught doing donuts in the neighborhood. I'm sorry, I wasn't a juvenile delinquent. And anywho, so my buddy Mark.
What car was it?
Oh, my mother had, which if you know anything about cars, she had a Ford Fairmont, which was basically a Fox body Mustang. You could take the body of a Ford GT Mustang, lift it up, and put it on a Ford Fairmont. Same car, same body. She had a 302 V8. That thing cooked. I love that car. But I got caught doing donuts, so I wasn't allowed to drive. So my buddy Mark Ridley, he says, hey, listen, I just got my driver's license. Let's go to the ball game. We'll hang out, you know. I'm like, dude, I live in Carrollwood. You live in Seminole Heights. Now, you remember when you first got your driver's license, you didn't want to drive to the bathroom, you know? So he's like, I'll drive you home. I'm like, well, let's go. So, excuse me. So we stay after school and we're hanging out. And we decided to walk over to that pizza place that is now Mad Dogs and Englishmen.
Okay.
You guys remember that?
Yeah.
So me being cocky Tom Froelich, lady comes up, what do you guys want to drink? I'm like, Budweiser. She's like, draft or bottle? I'm like, oh my God. I'm like, bottle. And I swear to God, this has happened. I swear to God. So she goes, all right. And Mark looks at, he's like, oh, I want a bud too. He goes, ID. Mark was perpetually baby-faced.
Yeah.
So he got carded. I didn't. So my thinking is, oh my God, I reek of beer. You know, I drank the beer. I'm like, you know, no big deal. We get out. We walk across the 7-Eleven. I get a pack of Sprees and proceed to eat the entire pack of Sprees. I'm amazed I don't have diabetes right now.
Good genetics. Good genetics.
So the game starts, and I swear to you, and this is true, Herman, Mr. Valdez, I love him to death. He reminded me of my wrestling coach, but he had much more authority than my wrestling coach. Mr. Valdez could kick me out of school. Coach Goodpasture couldn't. So I'm like, we walk into the auditorium or the gym, and I'm like, I don't want to sit behind Bayshore. And he's like, where do you want to sit? I said, I want to sit behind the visiting team. We'll hassle them. And he's like, okay. And that's honestly how it started. I mean, I would sit there and their cheerleaders would be like, you know, we got Spirit, we got you. And I'd be like, no, you don't want to do that. And we razzed them to no death. And I walked out of there. And I'm
Do you
like,
remember who we were playing? Do you remember who we were playing?
That I don't remember, but it was we shellacked them.
Yeah.
I'm sure I could probably go get my yearbooks right now and it might be in there.
Yeah, I'm just curious. Jacqueline Searcy is on with us, Jackie Cortez, and she says, hey guys. Hey Jackie, how you doing?
Hey Jackie.
Jackie.
Tom, I want to ask you about several of the sayings that came out of the stands, and I want to know, number one, did you invent it? Number two, did you participate in it? And number three, what was your most famous, attack of the enemy? So the first one should be relatively easy. It's the na 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 goodbye cheer, which
Oh yeah, that was yeah.
it's easy,
Yeah,
but
that was
people forget that when we did it, we were doing it before the game started. So
the thing is too is, I mean, and I had the balls, and I hate to say this, pardon my French, Steve. I would sit behind the visiting team.
right.
I mean, because when I walked in that first time when I had that beer, and I'm like, oh my God, Herman's going to smell me. I can't sit behind our team. I'm going to sit behind the visiting team. And I sat there and I razzed him. And I walked out of there with a more euphoric feeling not from the one beer that I chugged, but from the fact that I sat there and just razzed this team to no end.
And
it was brutal.
You impacted the game.
I mean, and I will say this, and Herman, if you're listening, if you're watching, much love and respect, but I think the only reason I didn't get kicked out of there was because I was the sixth man on the court. I came out there, I was brutal. I mean, they would go up for free shots and I had to scream, and I don't know where it came from.
Give it to us now.
Oh God, I couldn't. I'd probably blow out my vocal cords. But I mean, right? They would go up for the free throw, and I'd like, bah! It's almost like an air horn, and it wasn't an air horn. And they'd be like,
I got another shout out to give. Sean Price is also on Facebook, and she's watching the show. Let me ask you a few more. All the way to
God. If Sean is asking questions, I'm scared.
Not yet, but it might be coming.
Because this will probably relate to the Pink Floyd concert and the guy with the three-piece suit, and you were the guy with the three-piece suit. But
I was not in a three-piece suit. Sean Price can confirm it. So let me ask you a few more. All the way to state, everybody does. Did you ever participate in Ray Charles in the house? Ray Charles in the house.
We were more Stevie Wonder.
Stevie Wonder, that's a good one. What about Helen Keller?
Yeah, that too. Helen Keller. Oh God. Do you need to borrow my glasses?
Right. What about Three Blind Mice? Three Blind Mice?
Oh yeah, that Three Blind Mice.
Who's Your Daddy? Did you ever do the?
I don't think we went that.
Yeah,
we might have.
1990s.
Yeah, that was more. I mean, yeah.
Here's another 1990s. So I mean, whoop, there it is. What about to the referees? You are a bum. Did you ever do the You Are a Bum?
We did You Are a Bum and many other things that we won't mention.
Here's one that's going to apply to Jeff Wooten, which we're going to get to Jeff in a little while. But on many of the teams back then, you had bi-level and you had mullets and haircuts like that.
Oh God, yeah.
And there was one time and I want to ask you, because you commented on Facebook, where the other team had a long-haired guy with a bi-level, and we started chanting hair plugs,
Yeah.
But then Dibble came over. Coach Valdez sent Dibble over and told the kids to be quiet, so they switched it to Moses because of the long hair.
That was after me. I remember that, but I was probably a part of that. But right. It was something that we started. I mean, I remember it was me, Mark Ridley, Trent McDaniel, Chris Dallas, and we just we would sit behind the visiting teams, and we were just brutal. And I think, if I had $1 for every time I got a dirty look from a parent, a coach, a player,
right,
I'd be driving a Ferrari right now.
Did you have David Sawyer with you in that crowd?
Who?
David Sawyer. Does that ring a bell?
Yep, David Sawyer. Yes.
Those are
I thought he played. I thought David Sawyer played.
He did, but I don't think he was on varsity yet. I think he was younger. I think he was either younger than you or you're.
No, David Sawyer. David Sawyer.
Not in 85, 86 though.
Yeah.
Those are some names. Those are awesome names from the past. I hope all those guys, we can reconnect with them. Are you still in touch with any of them?
I talk to Blocker every now and then. I actually went to his house 6 years ago, and he's a lawn and garden man, and he needs to mow his yard a little bit better. But no, I still keep in touch with him. I keep in touch with Tina Wendell, Masson Moore. I kept in touch with your sister for a while, and then we just kind of grew out. No big deal.
And I think you got a story or something to do with her before we're done here, right?
Oh my God, yes. All right, I have to ask you a question. Do your parents have a pool?
Yes.
They do?
Yes.
You're coming home for Christmas?
Yes. In fact, I think Joey Ruggieri, if you're watching this, Joey probably is cleaning the pool for my parents right now.
Okay, all right. Or you need to do, for me to do this, you need to do this for me. You need to take your sister out to the pool and toss her ass in.
Why? What?
Reason being, you posted a picture of Def Leppard Animal. Now, I conferred with Masson Moore.
This was Friday night polls. You're talking about the Friday night polls?
No, you sit there and you were stuck in traffic and you took a picture of your XM radio, and it showed Def Leppard Animals. So your sister, and I checked with Masson Moore, and she said it was your sister's fault. Right? The song Animal by Def Leppard, we all know it.
Right.
Remember? And I want, and I love, and I need animal, right? Your sister decided to trade it up and make and I want, and I need, and I love Fiedo.
Oh,
Here it is, 30 years later, I still sing the damn song that way. She ruined a perfectly good classic rock song for me. So, Steve, you must toss her in the pool.
I got no problem doing that to my sister.
Okay. As long as there's video of it and I see it, we're good. Tina, I love you. I do love you to death, Tina, but you deserve that because you have ruined a classic 80s hairband song.
We will film it just for you, Tom. And of course, you just mentioned Rob Fiedo, class of 88. The 87-88 team was a superpower.
80s, yeah.
Fiedo was dominant. But the injury to Kevin Noriega probably cost that team a chance to go to the Final Four. So before we keep moving on, here's the last cheer that I want to ask you about. You said you never did this. It made you look like a good guy, which I was happy to hear. When the opposing cheerleaders came on the court in the mid 1980s through the late 1980s, our fans would cheer Alpo.
Yes.
And in many cases through until Coach Valdez got mad, Alpo dog biscuits onto the floor when they would come on.
I swear to you, I will put my hand on the Bible right now, because here's the thing. I went to public schools. I went 8th, 9th grade, and 10th, half of 10th grade. I had to repeat my 10th grade year at Bayshore, and that's fine. But I went to Chamberlain, a huge school. And all these girls wanted to participate in being cheerleaders. And they only picked the prettiest of the pretty. Bayshore, our pickings were slim. And God bless them, any girl who had...
Tom. Our girls were the most attractive. There were just less of them.
Exactly. Yeah, exactly. Okay. But here's the thing. There were any girl who wanted to go get her ass out there, pardon my French, and say, we got spirit, how about you? She would put a skirt on her, and in the bigger schools, they didn't do that. And I felt bad for those girls, so I would never have sat there and, thrown Alpo stuff at these smaller schools, because that's wrong. These girls want to do it. They're given the opportunity. God bless them. Get out there, do your thing.
For the record, though, I must say that the 86-87 varsity cheerleader squad was mighty fine.
I think it's important.
It wasn't now Paul Morgan.
But yeah, no. And it's important to point out, obviously, the heart is what matters.
Yes, the heart. But you go out there, it doesn't matter what you look like. You go out there, if you want to support your team. And
right.
I will sit there, and I mean, I remember sitting there behind the opposing teams and their cheerleaders, who, however cute, skinny, big, large, didn't matter. They're like, we got spirit, we got you, you know, and I'd be like, you know, it didn't matter, you know. I did not want to disparage them because that wasn't right.
Right.
But unfortunately for our opponents, a lot of our fans did quite a bit of disparaging of everything in their path. So
That's the thing. That I mean, yeah.
You never did that. You never did it.
No. I never threw Alp. I will. No.
Okay. So, Tom, going to 85, 86, which was my senior year, and through your year of graduation, 1988, you were a part of a crew that regularly made it the most difficult place to play basketball, and that was Rainy Arena. Tell us some of your time at Bayshore. Tell us some of your great stories. I know I'm waiting to hear the Jeff Wooten story.
I've got a lot of stories. Oh wow, man. The thing is, I have a. Oh wow. I love my time at Bayshore, guys. You know, Steve, you and I had a class together. I don't know if you remember.
Wow, no. Maybe I will. Tell me.
All right, it was study hall.
I had a lot of
show up.
It was study hall. It was me, you, Bryn Vigo.
With Mr. Carter.
Yes, Mr. Carter. And I remember
Master
sitting.
Carter, what a good guy.
Yeah, great, awesome. And honestly, we never studied. We never studied. We listened to music, you know. And the thing is, with my venture into Bayshore was that I'd never been to a Christian school.
Tom, I'm surprised we even attended. Are you sure we were there often?
No, you weren't. You were out in Dibble's office, hanging out, or Valdez's office, talking about basketball. You know. But when you were there, you know, it was fun. We didn't do a whole heck of a lot of anything. We really never studied, but we had a lot of fun.
Sure.
So I think, you know, with me coming to Bayshore, and I'd never experienced how a Christian school was. I'd never been there, you know, and I'd seen how things went. And it really messed with me a little bit because we had, oh, excuse me. I'm trying to clear my head to think this the right way. The Bible, I was always taught, I went to a Methodist church and I went to a non-denominational Christian camp. So I came to Bayshore and it was very charismatic. Would you not agree, Stephen?
Yes, very much so.
Okay, my first day, and I will not name names.
Hey, keep talking. I think my fire alarm's going off. It's probably.
Oh my God, your house is on fire. All right, well, Chris, I'll tell you this story. Okay, so we're sitting there, and I never understood how not just Bayshore, but us as a whole society railed so much against the homosexual population. Would you not agree?
Sure. Yeah. I agree with that.
Theology here?
I mean, well, here's the thing, Steve. I remember you came in and we were, you know, never studying at study hall. And you brought in your cassette from your Firebird. Was it a Firebird or was it a Trans Am?
No, it was a Firebird.
Okay. And you brought your Brothers in Arms, you know, cassette, Dire Straits. And to think about, oh, I dropped it again.
We got a drop screen. We got all things on. Go ahead, Tom.
No, so to think about.
I got no heat and your house is on fire.
Yeah, your house is on fire. Chris is doing shots. I'm drinking water. Wait, oh my God, we're all a mess.
I just hit on myself.
All right, so back to Dire Straits. Back to
Okay, so Dire Straits, right? Think about this, right? It's 1985. Dire Straits, #1 song, Money for Nothing. Great song, #1 with a bullet. But the line, the little faggot with the earring and the makeup, yeah, buddy, that's his own hair. Little faggot's got his own jet airplane. A little faggot, he's a millionaire. And we thought that was great. I never understood that. I never understood how we could, and Bayshore did that. They really railed against homosexuals, and I'm not homosexual. I'm not, but it really weirded me out. And I have since, because we were all,
you were like confused or taken aback by the theology of the Christian school.
yes, exactly. I was totally, and I mean, here's the thing, and Steve, God bless you. You included me in this, and you've made me realize, and you gave me enough time to figure this out, and I'm cool with it. You've opened my eyes. We are all made in the image of God, correct?
Yes. Is this
Okay.
like a quiz? Am I taking a quiz?
No, you're not taking a quiz. You're not taking a quiz. You're
Take a quiz.
going through the convoluted Tom Froelich, coming of age thing. All right. I'm not under the influence of any drugs. I mean, everything's through. I mean, I will admit this though, that before me going to Bayshore, I never smoked. I was drunk once, never did drugs, nothing. But this, by you asking me to do this, I had to do some really deep thinking. And I'm not blaming Bayshore at all, because we were all taught we are in the same image of God, correct?
Yeah.
I'm going to make Chris answer.
Now, all right, well, Chris is answering.
Yeah.
So, but I remember being told repeatedly, God made Adam and Eve, not Adam and Steve. Correct? You remember that?
Answer.
Yes.
Okay. All right. So, and we
But
were
Tom, I got to
told-
tell you before you go down this road, man. See, Steve and I went to a Southern Baptist school before the Bayshore, so our take is a whole lot different than yours.
Okay, and I get that. But I understand that. I mean, and I went through a part of my life where I avoided the church simply because of what I was told. I'm a free thinker, but for you guys to be Southern Baptist, woo, yeah. But my minister at my last church, he had a sweet, sermon, and he said, God did not want religion; He wanted religious people, and I believe that. And the way he talked about it, I was like, oh wow, this is really amazing. Because and it's nothing against Bayshore. All of my deep friends, my serious deep friends, are from a Christ-based scenario. Church camp, Nordmont Christian Camp. My best friend. I met my wife at Nordmont Christian Camp. Tasha Hunsucker. She still comes up to visit me. We have Kevin Dink, John Cooner, Jeff Wooten.
Oh yeah.
So I mean, honestly, think about this. If you had told me 30 years ago that I'd be having a podcast with Steve Rodriguez and Chris Pate, I'd be like, whatever you're smoking sounds delicious. I want some right now. But it's a faith-based relationship, and it's great.
Yeah. Well, Tom, and we're so happy to hear that, theology aside, I mean, that's kind of why we do this. Honestly, we did it at first for our own amusement. But as we got into it, we found out that people were really connecting. And we wanted to reconnect with you guys as well. I knew you, Tom, in high school, but I didn't know you like I know you now. I'm not sure if that's a good thing or a bad thing. But overall, it's a great thing. You know what I mean?
It is.
Yeah.
We can sit there and connect with our beliefs in our Christian beliefs, and it makes me smile. I can think of honestly only one person I know that I did not hang out with in a church-based relationship. Everyone other my friends are all from Bayshore or Northern My Christian Camp.
Great. Yeah.
That's sort of, yeah, I'm sorry, Chris.
No, you're good. Yeah, us too, Tom. Steve and I have known each other through, Christian-centered schools our entire lives. So
That sort of speaks for itself, right? I mean, what's happened when we started doing this podcast, which Chris just alluded to, and Tom, you're confirming, we're getting all kinds of like messages from people and notes and direct messages through Facebook where they're saying they've reconnected with so-and-so. Thank you for doing this.
Yeah.
Some people have reconnected in a way that has helped them physically, financially. They've needed help, and people have reconnected here and been able to help them. So that's been pretty amazing to see over these last few months.
Yes, of course. I mean, and I mean, Steve, I haven't laid eyes on you in 35 years.
Hey, do I look the same? Do I look the same?
Except for the mustache, the mustache.
Yeah, that's right. You look the same.
Oh my God, the gray hairs, they're not from my kids, they're from my mother. You just wait. I could tell you stories. Yeah, well, my mother has given me gray hairs.
Did Jeff Wooten give you any gray hairs? Did your graduation?
Oh, Jeff. Oh, no. Oh, whoa. Right. Here we go for some funny stories. All right. Jeff Wooten, I hope you're listening. One time, God almighty. Well, actually, you want to hear a love story?
Okay, yes.
All right. I'm going to tell you 3 love stories. And they're all, oh my God. Here we go. And I have permission from everyone to tell these stories.
This should be interesting.
Okay. So it's a Friday night, 1987. Mr. Carter, we're out on the red top, and he's telling us, blah, 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 blah. You need to be ready. Get back here to school at 7 o'clock in the morning. We got to be at the parade, blah, 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 blah. Me and my buddy, it was either Festival of Trees or Festival of Lights or something. It was a Saturday. Gail Steeren said my name. I don't remember. Somebody's got it on video. So anywho.
Oh, whoever has that video, we've got to have a copy.
Right. Getting there. Okay. So anywho, so I'm not listening to Mr. Carter because I know that I'm going to hang out with Mark Ridley at his folks' condo on the river. And we've got 12-pack of beer and videos, and we're going to hang out with these girls, like Netflix and chill before Netflix was around. So next morning, Mark Ridley wakes up 6:15. Dude, we got to be at school in like 45 minutes. I take all the beer cans that are on the table, throw them in the river, get a quick shower, boom, off we go. We go to school. I grab the full beers from the fridge, toss them in my bag, off we go. Do the parade, no big deal. This is where I fell in love with a much older married woman. So I'm in the back seat of the bus, behind the driver's side. Chris Dallas is on the passenger side. In front of me is a classmate's mother, and in front of classmate's mother is classmate. I swear to God, and I'm going to name names on this, and she will back me up on this. Okay, so anywho.
Hold on. Can we read the disclaimer, please?
It's been 32 years. They can't do much about it. Oh, you have no idea. The stories I have to tell. you're going to be like, oh my God, what the hell did we do to this guy? So anyways, so we do the parade. It's all great. Gail Siren says my name. Boom, off we go. We get in the bus.
Hold on. This is important. Gail Sirens, the local
Yeah.
WFLA Channel 8.
Yeah, she said my name on the parade. I was like, wow, she didn't mess it up. So I was cool with that. So, but they have no idea. So we're sitting there, we're on the bus, and we're riding back. And I'm, like I said, back seat behind the driver, very back row. Chris Dallas, passenger side, and we're talking about the night before and the Netflix and chill and all that. And he looks at me and he goes, and I'm like, what? And he goes, now keep in mind, classmate's mother is sitting in the seat in front of me. So classmate's mother looks at me and looks down at my bag. Looks back at me, looks down at my bag. I look at her, look down at my bag. I look at her, I'm like, because what is in my bag, brothers and sisters, but 4 Budweiser tall boys and a pack of Marlboro Reds. I swear to God, this is the truth. And you must ask, you're probably saying to yourself, how did this happen? What happened next was a thing of beauty. So the mother who just spied an 18-year-old man with Budweiser in his school bag, she looks to her child and says, we should go to McDonald's once we get back to school. And her child looks at her and says, with what, our looks? And had my heart started beating, I would have given them money to buy them lunch. That person, now who do you think that person was, Steve?
I literally have no idea.
Our
Pete should know.
Our class valedictorian, Masan Moore. And I told her this story about 5-6 years ago. And she's like, I never knew my mom was so cool. And she confirmed it with her mother. I swear to God. And I sat there, and I remember we pulled into school, and Mark Ridley was like across away from me. I'm like, dude, car keys now. And he's like, why? I said, I jumped out the emergency exit and I ran.
Watching? Is Miss Ann watching?
No, she never turned me in.
No, but is she watching right now on the podcast?
I hope she is. Mom, if you're Laura Kalki or Masan, I told her to. Are you ready for another one? Well, I've got multiple stories.
I want to hear graduation night, because on the Facebook alumni page, there's like 5,000 from a Blackston, from a Blocker, all kinds of people about what happened. And then I want to hear the Jeff Wooten story.
You want to hear the graduation story? Was this all right? So we're walking down the beach. It's me, Alyssa Wooten, Jeff Carter, his girlfriend Kim Blackston, and her sister.
Jimmy Carter, right?
Jimmy Carter.
Jimmy Carter.
Jimmy Carter.
Jimmy Carter, yeah. So we're walking down the beach. Now I had acquired somehow, I can't imagine how, I acquired a 12 or a case of beer. And Noriega was there too. That's right.
Kevin Noriega. Noriega, I hope you're watching, because you're coming on soon.
So we're walking down the beach and we're just chilling. We're kings of our own universe. We just graduated high school, So all of a sudden, we're like half a mile from the hotel Kim's parents rented. That got a nice big three.
Kim Blackston.
Yeah, Kim Blackston, Jim Carter's girlfriend. Her parents got this like 3-bedroom, apartment right on the beach. So we're walking down the beach, and all of a sudden we look to our left, and there's this guy walking up out of the water, and he has no clothes on. And we all look, and we're like, what the hell is going on? And then all of a sudden a light comes from the right, freeze, kids. And we're like, gone. And we start running. And I don't know why we ran. I really don't. I was 19, so we're running. So Indian Shores Beach cops, they're like going up like 3 hotels, cutting over, freeze, kids. We kept going. We finally get close to our hotel, and Kim's sister is like limping. I throw her on my shoulders. We're running up the steps. The cops are like, freeze, kid. I'm not going to say what I said because I said I would watch my mouth, but boom.
You've done a pretty good job.
We get in the room. Cops are beating on the door. We chuck the beer in the ocean. Thank God. Alyssa kept a 2-liter bottle. And Alyssa, if you're watching, please back me up on this. She kept a 2-liter bottle of soda. And like, what, you guys were carrying something? And she's like, it's a 2-liter bottle of soda and it's all shook up. And yeah. So we got chased by the cops.
That was Alyssa Wooten that had the Coke.
Yes. Oh, yes.
So, I don't know that we're going to survive this one either, Tom, but tell us about, it's been going on all day on Facebook. Jeff Wooten, you commented, I'm going to tell a story I have permission, and Jeff Wooten comments, oh, here we go.
Okay. This is just one. We have many stories. But this is because out of love for the Woo, I will tell this one. We went to the beach with me, Mark Ridley, John Cooner, and Jeff Wooten. And Mark Ridley had this boat of a car.
Those are some legendary names. I mean, those are just some legendary names.
But he had this boat of a car. So we go to the beach, and WQYK, the girls are riding along the beach, and they're throwing out like packs, like this big, of stickers for WQYK. And we were not fans of WQYK, but we took it because they were cute, so we tossed it in the car. So we're driving back. Mark Ridley decides to go visit a friend, and he leaves me in the car with Jeff Wooten and John Cooner. And so we're sitting there smoking cigarettes and telling stories. And Jeff Wooten gets a packet of stickers and says, I'm bored. So he goes to the back of Mark Ridley's car and proceeds to cover the entire back of Mark Ridley's car with WQYK stickers.
Oh, I knew that.
Now, if you knew Mark Ridley, you knew he was not a fan of WQYK. So they climb in the back seat, and we're sitting there, and he says he's going to find out the worst possible time. And I'm like, my hands are clean. I had nothing to do with it. So we leave this house. He's visiting this girl, and it's right near Bayshore. So Mark's flying down McDill, runs a red light. Here comes a cop. Boo! Pulls him over. We pull over to the side of the road. I'm like, boys, do you realize how bad he's going to blow up? What do you mean? He's going to see the back of his car is covered with WQYK stickers. So the cop sits there and says, so I see you like WQYK. Mark Ridley goes, what the boop?
Right.
And he sees, and he comes into me. I'm like, I had nothing to do with it. Yeah, I could tell another Jeff Wooten story, but I won't, because we just laughed about it, because I called him to get verification for the next story I'm about to tell. And I want you to tag him in this, because this story is possibly the funniest story, and I've used this story, and I've used the wrong names, so I'm not going to use any names.
Well, we need the Bayshore names. I thought you got permission.
Well, no, because Jeff Wooten and I, we were up in the air. He was like, I thought it was this person. I thought it was this person. But here's the story. All right, I was a teacher's.
It doesn't matter if it's true or not. Just go
Oh,
ahead.
no, it's true. Wooten will back me up on this. So,
All right.
You heard the disclaimer, right?
yes, of course.
True
God, I need to
captions, lies, all tales.
No, so I was a teacher's aide, and
Well, who's the teacher? Who's the teacher?
that's where we're up in the air about.
Well,
But it was the ninth grade science teacher. So he had to go home for something, whatever.
Was it Mrs. Van Glan?
No, this was after, because you were already graduated.
What about Piazza?
Wooten couldn't remember, but he remembers the story. So hear me out.
All right, go ahead.
So here's the story. So he has to leave. Look at you pulling out your book.
That's a yearbook. Keep going.
Okay, so basically the teacher had to leave. So we had another teacher come in, and I'm not going to name this teacher's name just because of the story I'm about to tell. So Dibble comes to me because he knows I'm the teacher's aide, and he's like, listen, I said, you've got a rowdy bunch in that class, keep them in line. No problem. So we're sitting there, and she comes in, lovely lady, God bless her, and thick Hispanic accent. And we're sitting there and we're learning about the electronic microscope. Steve, you better put that book down if you want to hear the true story of how this went.
I can hear it.
You got to put the book down. You got to hear this, okay? Put the book down, Steve. So we're sitting there and she's like, okay, class, today we're going to learn about the electronic microscope. This is the slide piece. And this is, the eyepiece. This is the focus button. At which point, every kid in that class looks up and looks back at me. And I'm like, did I just hear what I think I just heard? And she's like, class, no, you don't. Come look at me. This is the focus button. And this is the find focus button. And I'm like, oh my God. How do we fix this? I swear to God, I sat there and I'm like, okay, I can fix this. So I get up and I'm grading papers. And I'm like, kids, I'm trying to grade papers. I'm trying to grade your tests. And why are you giggling? She's just telling you about the focus button. What is this button? And she goes, oh, that's the focus button. Well, what does it do? It puts everything into focus. Okay. Well, what's this button? That's the find focus button.
Their last podcast.
And I'm like, well, why do we need two focus buttons? And oh my God. Yeah, I kept them in control. Oh,
I want to know more about I want to know more about what Dibble said. Hey.
Well, Dibble told me, he's like, listen, keep these yahoos. I mean, you had John Cooner, you had Jeff Wooten, you had Kevin Dink, he's like, keep them in line because they weren't troublemakers. They were no worse than I was. But, still, you got this teacher coming in with the focus button,
That had to be Mrs. Lopez. That's Mrs. Lopez.
I'm not naming names, man. That's wrong. That's just wrong.
That's who.
But I told this story to a bunch of kids at a church camp because I wanted
Hold on. You told the story in a church camp?
Yes. Yes. Because you know what? Here's the thing, Steve. Think about this. You know, every now and then life hits you hard. Correct?
Sure.
Life hits you hard. Something comes up out of nowhere, bam. You know, you got to find your fine fuckus. Not your fuckus, your fine fuckus. You know? So really, I honestly, you know, I told these kids this, and these kids were, you know, they're kids of what, you know, the phones and all that. We didn't have that growing up. You know, I said, you guys just need to sit back and look and reflect and find your fine fuckus. And they laughed, and I swear to God, you can ask my wife. I've told the fine fuckus story.
What did the preacher at the church camp think of the?
Well, here's the thing. I mean, the church camp, well, my wife was I think she was the director.
Oh.
But it was just
liberties, huh?
Well, you think about it, really, we weren't using profanity. We were using thick Hispanic speaking. You know, there was nothing wrong. And Steve, if you need to, you know, beep this out, that's fine. But really, there was
well beyond beeping at this.
But really, it's true. Think about it, Steve. Think about it. You know, really, I love growing up there in Tampa, and there was such, honestly, you ask my friend Tasha, my sister from another mister, Tasha Hunsucker. Yeah, you ask her, say wash, she'll say wash. You say water, she'll say water. Nothing against her from, I love her to death. I will back up. If you mess with her, I will kick your ass. But it's just something she says. So that is how this woman pronounced focus. It wasn't wrong, but it made it a funny story. And I told these kids, and they still remember it. And I'm going to tell you another funny story now. And this involves your beloved friend Herman Valdez. You ready for this one? Yes. Oh yes. And I will not speak, Coach, if you're watching. I will never disparage you. I remember one time, and I used this from him. I went into the band room, and there was a chalkboard, and everything written around it. War, Rambo, this is our house. Take no prisoners, blah, blah, blah. You know, in the center were 3 words. Poison class. Do you remember that, Steve?
Right. So does Chris Pate.
Right.
When I was a house manager, and I've gotten out of that game since, I've worked with some really interesting individuals. I said, listen, when we go out in public, you just have to show 2 things, poison class. And they still do it.
Wow.
You know, and I take that from Herman, and because I remember the chalkboard, Rambo, blah, blah, everything was crazy written out, you know, and I can picture him sitting there yelling at you guys, you know, but in the center, poison class.
Very good. That's really great. And it's so amazing to hear it all these years later. Everybody that has been moved by and remembers those words. That's really great to hear.
Yeah, I mean, I called not too long ago a buddy of mine who I finagled into working into my field. You know, he's still doing it, and I call every now and then. I'm like, hey, let me talk to so and so, and he'll be like, hey, I'm still using poison class, and I'm like, bless you, brother, thank you. You know, and it was something I took from Herman.
That's wonderful. That's absolutely great. That's really good, and we're actually nearing the end here. We're down to the last 6 minutes. I got 2 things I want to say, which are like a minute long. I want to know if Chris has got any more questions. And Tom, before we let you go, we want to know if there's any more great stories, because the graduation, the Wooten, the focus, and Dibble's name in the focus story has made the evening for me. So, Chris, you got anything? I got a couple more.
No, I just want to say, you mentioned Hunsuckers, and what a great family, what a great Bayshore family. I love the Hunsuckers. Mr. Hunsucker is at every game, I think, and just really love that family. I'm glad you mentioned them, and I'm glad to hear that you're such great friends still with Tasha.
Oh, I'm going to tell you a great Hunsucker story real quick. Steve, we might have to go a little bit longer, but I got to tell the story.
Please, yeah, please.
Okay, so I remember, when I first met, the Hunsuckers, they had an open door policy. You never knocked on the door, hey, you just walked in. So they had the house in Hawthorne, and then they moved. So one day I went, and Kevin Dink and I went to see Ivan at their house away from the other house. And so then I come to town, and I've always made it my mission every time I come to town to come visit them. So I pull up in the driveway, and I see the door, and there's an H right on the door. And I'm like, oh yeah, I'm going to run in. I'm going to throw that door open. Ivan's going to be sitting on the couch, and I'm going to fly through the air and just power bomb him. And because that was what we always did. So I go running. I'm running at the door. And you have to tag Carrie in the story. Running at the door, and my inner voice says, knock. And I'm like, no, it's the Hunsuckers. There's the H on the door. We got to do this. And it's like, knock. And I'm like 2 feet from the door. It's like, knock. And I'm like, oh, crap. Door slowly creaks open. I see Ivan's daughter, Carrie, wrapped in a towel. Son Sakai and daughter are both standing there, eyes like this. And they're like, oh, God, they saw me running. Mom, something's going on. And I'm like, hey, your folks here? No, they don't live here anymore. Oh, God. Can you imagine me running into that house? That would be a gun pointed at my head.
Yes.
And I went to Vivian and Ivan's house, and I yelled at them, and I didn't want to yell at them. I love them. But I was like, you got to let people know, man. You can't do that, And they were like, she laughed. I mean, but I do make the Hunsuckers, God bless them. They, I love them. I honestly, Vivian and Ivan, if you're watching, you helped me through a very hard time, and I love them.
We're going to tell a story. I'm interrupting something very profound and loving, but I thought you were going to tell the story of when Mr. Hunsucker prevented you from getting in the bench clearing brawl.
Oh God, yes. Okay. Oh yes. And there's a video
what I was
of this.
interested in.
Okay. All right. So it was 1987, and that was Blocker would know the game. I wouldn't. But all I know is we were all up on the upper banister part, and all hell broke loose. And people are just fighting. Everybody's fighting. And me and Mark Ridley go running down. And there's video of this. And Ivan and Mike Blocker's dad are not pushing, not tossing. They are throwing kids. I mean, you're seeing feet flying through the air. And I'm running. I want to get in this. And Ivan goes, not today, boy. And if you've seen that GIF where the little kid goes running into the kitchen and turns his left foot, that was me, because I was like, no. Ivan had his hands full, but he was all about the business. And I mean, I was like, nope, I'm not going to do that. Not at all.
That's right. Yeah, for those who are watching that may not be aware of the 1980s and the Hunsucker family, Ivan is a very large man. And
I could tell you the first time I met Ivan, I remember it. And I told Vivian this story at Napa's service, and she laughed because he scared me so. And the thing about Ivan is, I realized this, spending time at his house, the man was perpetually angry. Because think about this, he is this bastion.
That was his most redeeming quality.
He's this bastion of masculinity, surrounded by 5 women. You know, he's got his lovely wife who no sane adult man would ever go after. And he's got his 4 lovely daughters, Tasha, Stacy, Shelly, Carrie. And let's face it, guys, teenage boys are dumb. You know, they really are. And he's out there to protect them. I mean, I had some great time spending there at their house. And once I got through and I understood how he was, I love spending time with him. And I will tell this story. I had enough respect and love for the man that, you know, you were always welcome in their house. You know, you just walk in. Think about this, Chris, Steve, would you let anyone just walk into your house right now?
No.
No, exactly. I wouldn't either. You know, someone walks in my house, hello, what you doing? You know, you'd meet the business end of a 9mm. They let us. But you were never summoned there. But I remember one time I did something stupid. I can't even remember what it was. Burn out in somebody's yard, toilet paper somebody's trees. And Tasha called me. So phone rings. Hello. Hey, Daddy wants to talk to you. Oh God, he knows. Don't make him wait. And I had to drive from Carrollwood to South Tampa. And I remember walking in the house and the Hunsaker's house. Oh! Because I have to use the headphones because I'm hard of hearing because I'm old and I'm tired. But anyways, so I walk in and just everything. They had this cat, Killer. Huge cat, like this big.
Oh, they called the cat's name was Killer?
Killer, yes. And it ran from me. And the cat, Killer, used to come to me. And I remember walking in and they had this. Steve, did you ever go to the Hunsaker's house at all?
I had been there, but I wasn't a regular, but yes.
Okay. So they had like in their kitchen dining area, they had like a booth, a restaurant style booth. And I remember sitting there and I hear the boot steps walk in and Ivan comes in and I just had my head down because I knew I was in trouble. And he looked at me and he says, boy, do you know how disappointed I am in you? And it was like if he just reached in and pulled heart right out because I disappointed someone I love so much. And he proceeded to yell at me, not yell, but you know, he was being Ivan. And I just sat there with my tail between my legs and I felt horrible because I looked up to Ivan. I loved Ivan. And that's why I've always, you know, every time I'm in town, I always make it a present. I have to go see Ivan. Even though I almost got arrested for, you know, running into his daughter's house because I wanted to powerbomb Ivan. So we need to, whenever you want to go see the Hunsakers, make sure you know. But honestly, don't knock, just walk in. I mean, Tasha, last time I was there, you know, Tasha's, yeah, hey, we're walking in, you know. I'm like, you don't knock? She's like, no.
I remember I was at the Hunsakers maybe once or twice in my lifetime, and it's because my sister was really good friends with one of them. I want to say it was Tasha. I don't really remember.
Yeah.
She was friends with all of them, the Hunsaker crew. So that's really good. And like we've said before, everybody comes on here, just the memories and the love for one another that we had through Bayshore Christian is remarkable. And we can't thank you enough for coming on and sharing about your time at the school. And
I love it. I mean, it was, you know, it was eye-opening, and I'm blessed to have been a part of it. And I have gained so many great friends. I mean, think about it, Steve. You and I really have thought, 35 years ago, sitting in Mr. Carter's class, class, would we be talking 35 years from now?
No.
You're
Exactly.
welcome.
But that's the thing. It's about a faith-based relationship, is where we can. It's so easy to reconnect.
Right.
Right.
That's so right. I want to share two things before we go. We're out of time. This episode was remarkable, and it was fun, and it was really great to hear all these stories. And it started with the premise about your role as part of the crew that would antagonize and
Oh, we were brutal.
our opponents. Two stories, and neither one of them are necessarily from any of our time at Bayshore. One was in 1983, we mentioned before. Tampa Tribune had an article where Bayshore had signs. This is before our time, but that shows how 50 years of this has been going.
Oh, yes.
Bayshore fans had a sign that said against Berkeley Prep, and it said in the Tampa Tribune, "Save an alligator, kill a preppy," which I can't say that sort of today, but
Oh, yes.
the second one was in 1992. The Tampa Tribune said, "The Bayshore fans are loud, proud, often menacing, and always telling you their team is the best, and they're usually right."
Of course. I mean, I loved sitting behind the visiting teams and just heckling. And I remember, the only time I ever got owned was that time where we lost to that team. We had 5 players and they had 3.
Are you sure that wasn't part of the fight? Like, because everybody got thrown out?
That was the one when it was 87, and they had 3 players on, and I'm thinking, oh, this is going to be a shellacking now. And we lost. And every one of those members sat up and looked at me, because I was still throwing barbs left and right. I didn't care. And when we lost, I was like, oh man, I'm gonna get handed.
Oh,
And
no.
I did, and I took it.
What was that, Chris? What'd you say?
It wasn't 87 because we never lost.
No, I think it was 87, 87.
87, 88, yeah.
Yeah, okay, yeah.
Yeah, the fans at Bayshore easily made a difference in 10-15% of our wins because of the role they played in supporting their classmates. And that was one of the more unique things about it. The high school maybe had 100 kids, 9th through 12th grade. Everyone participated on game night in one way or the other. And we're very thankful for that.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah,
Tom,
maybe Steve and I haven't conveyed enough. He just said it, man. We are so thankful for you guys. You don't know what it's like to run out of that, out of that locker room and the music's playing, and you guys are just ruckus and loud and just pouring on the other team. I mean, you feel invincible. You guys gave us that energy, to feel that.
Oh yeah, it was fun. It was. For me, it was. Probably kept me out of getting kicked out of school, but because I was that obnoxious and I just didn't care. I would sit behind the coaches and be like, "Did you hear that? Oh yeah, that was nothing but net. I'm sorry, Oh damn! Did Bio just make a dunk? Oh, I'm so sorry. Oh my god, I'm so sorry. Oh my god, that sounded like a slam dunk to me. And we would just do it, and
great.
Yeah, the best part, Tom, you mentioned it. My first game, my senior year, you were there. When I came out of that gym, Chris just mentioned it. You come out, the music, the crowd. When I came out, they're going all the way to state. When the other team came out, you guys started chanting "No, no, no, goodbye."
Exactly.
As they're exiting the locker room. That was really good. Anyways, Tom, we can't thank you enough. This has been a great episode of Bayshore Memories. We'll never forget this episode, and lots of fun with the Bayshore crowd. And we can't thank you enough, Tom Froelich. We appreciate it.
No problem. Thank you much.
Chris, you'll wrap it.
Steve, what are we doing next week? We got a little Christmas special, I think.
Yeah, we really hope everybody watches because it's only gonna be like 15 minutes. We want to go with the thank yous. Want to talk about what's coming up in the spring, how we're gonna wrap up the podcast, what we're gonna talk about, all that sort of stuff. But just 15 minutes. go over where we're at. Probably have a world broadcast premiere announcement. So lots of good stuff next week. Nothing's going to beat this week, but it's a good show to watch.
Yeah.
What about the poll for Friday?
Oh yeah.
Yeah, I mean, I've been waiting for somebody to give me some suggestions. If I
Well,
don't,
I sent you that one about the crappiest songs out of the 80s. Think
Yeah,
about it, man.
we've so
Think
mined-
about it.
we've so done the 1980s. You got to do something different. Got to do a TV
Okay.
show, a movie, something. So
Yeah.
anyway, thank you.
2000 alumni. We got them on every once in a while.
Well, now, what are we going to do for that young lad who I'm thoroughly impressed with, who shattered that backboard at Armwood? I think we need to really set up a GoFundMe page, because that must obviously be very traumatic for him. And I don't want him to deal with PTSD. I think he needs either some therapy, either retail or,
Well, listen, all of our illegal collections violating multiple FHSA rules by taking up a collection probably does not help by going on GoFundMe. But the three of us will talk about a way to illegally funnel money to the players.
Anyway. Oh, all right, guys. Gonna wrap it up tonight. Steve, thanks so much, buddy. Appreciate it. It's fun as always. Tom, so happy to have you in the Bayshore family, man. Wouldn't be the
buddy.
same without you. You take care of yourself, and everybody will see you
yes.
next week.
All right,
We'll see you.
I'll be there. See you.
See you, Tom.